Hey guys, Level Cap here. Today's Monday, which means it's time for an episode of Loadout, the series where you guys, the viewers, get to pick a gun and customization for me to use. The way you do this is you leave a comment down below letting me know what sort of weapon and accessories you'd like me to run with, and I will pick one of the top rated comments for next week's episode. Today's Loadout comes from Kar98k. It's straight and to the point. Stealth Sniper. We're going to be using the Kar98 with iron sights. Any sidearm, I've picked the 1911, then we're going to have throwing knives and a spawn beacon. Now, to be honest, I was somewhat dreading this loadout. For one, you have to use the Kar98, which is the level 20 sniper rifle, but it's more of a long-range rifle. It's got a slower rate of fire. It has lesser bullet drop on range. All the benefits are for long-range precision shooting. So when you take the optic off of there, the precision gets a bit more difficult. And so going for those headshots is really crucial to getting those one-shot kills. Otherwise, you've just got a slow-firing two-shot rifle, and that can be a bit challenging. However, the big benefit to this is the fact that since there's no spotting in Battlefield 5 or minimal spotting, when you don't have that scope on there, you don't have any scope glint. So you can be very stealthy, hiding in bushes, and people won't see you. As you can see from these clips here, lots of players are just running right past me or around me without seeing me at all. And that gives me plenty of time to take shots and take out my opponents. The bullet tracers are also far less pronounced in Battlefield 5. So as a sniper, if you're shooting across a field and you're hidden in a bush, it might be pretty hard for enemies to locate you, especially when there's no scope glint. As for close quarter combat, I did go for the 1911. I could have gone for a German pistol to sort of complete the theme of this kit, but I just like the 1911 the most. It's not to say that I love the pistol, as most pistols in Battlefield 5 are a bit weaker when compared to their Battlefield 1 counterparts, but DICE is changing that in the patch tomorrow so that they'll have a bit more ranged effectiveness. We'll see how that changes their overall performance, but the 1911 definitely is crucial for getting some of those close quarter kills, along with the throwing knives, which are difficult, high skill weapons, but they are a lot of fun in close quarters, as they can net you a one-hit kill, but they're not a guaranteed one-hit kill. In fact, if you hit somebody in the leg with a throwing knife, it'll be like 98 damage, and I did that a few times, and then the guy turned around and just killed me. So that was a bit of a letdown. Throwing knives are fun, but they're not for the average player. They're stealthy, they don't make any sound, but they do take a little bit of warm-up time, and the throwing speed of them is pretty slow. So if your opponent is sidestepping or jukesing, it's going to be really hard to land a shot because of how slow they travel. Distance kills are pretty much out of the question with them, as the damage drop-off is severe, so you won't get that one-shot throwing knife kill at further ranges, and they also drop really quickly, so it's just very hard to get a distance kill with them. You really want to use them in close quarters, but they are nice. You can kind of think of them as like a close range melee takedown, especially when somebody's got their back turned to you. You can just hit them with the throwing knife, start taking them out before their teammates realize what's going on because of how quiet they are. Now, the spawn beacon works incredibly well with this class because, in my opinion, DICE has not properly balanced the spawn beacon. It used to make that beeping sound that was very recognizable in like Battlefield 4, and you could hunt them down, or you would always know if one was in a building. Now it makes a very subtle radio sort of hissing sound, and most players don't even realize it's there or aren't keyed into it, and so it's going to stay up a long time. Most of my spawn beacons were taken out by like bombers or something blowing up a building where the radio beacon was hidden. And so you can really put those beacons behind enemy lines, or in ideal spots to spawn in and flank your enemies. They are probably not going to be found too often. And so it just works perfectly with this kit overall. And I got a lot of my kills in flanking positions from them. And right there, you just saw that 98 throwing knife hit to the leg, so that can be pretty darn fatal in close quarters. Again, throwing knives are fun. They got a lot of style points to them, but I think I need to practice quite a bit more with them before they'll be a good go-to weapon. Also, because they sort of share the same slot as the grenade, sometimes I throw them when I think I have a grenade equipped, and so that's the hard thing, is like to really remind myself that I've got that throwing knife and not a grenade, because I've thrown many a throwing knives over walls and like through windows thinking that it was a grenade and just felt like an idiot afterwards. The Kar98 iron sights are not my favorite. They've got a lot of metal on the left and right. DICE has never really done iron sights particularly well, in my opinion. I think there should be a lot more fuzzing out of the rear sight on weapon optics so that you can see a bit more of the environment around your targets and stuff. And not to mention, they got rid of the additional zoom options that they had in Battlefield 1. That was one of the saving graces in BF1, is if you were running an iron sight rifle, you could put a multiplier on there. I think you could do like 2 or maybe even 2.5 times magnification. I think it was a 2 times magnification option. You could go like 1.25, 1.5, and I think up to 2, and that would allow you to be more precise with iron sights. If you knew you're going to be running a bolt action rifle with irons, you could get a bit more accuracy. And really the only way to try and fix that in this, and I wouldn't even call it a fix, is to use a narrower field of view so that when you zoom in general, you'll just have a more zoomed up picture overall, but it's going to make your peripheral vision less. And so I don't like the lesser options that you have in Battlefield 5 with iron sights, especially considering that so many weapons in Battlefield in World War II had irons. Not having the ability to sort of tweak how you see through irons or what kind of zoom options you have is a little bit disappointing, especially if you got used to the zoom options from BF1. Luckily, because of the stealth characteristics of this loadout, you can usually sit up in a bush or peer over something and really take your time with your shots. But not always, you know, especially if you're being pushed aggressively and the enemy team is just coming over the hills and you can't stop them. You're not going to have a lot of time to like find some distant ridge and zero in on your targets. You're going to be getting overwhelmed, and you're going to have to play this kit a bit more aggressively. And the Kar98 is not particularly good at aggressive play because of its slow rate of fire and its sort of spec'd for long range combat, and especially combining it with the inaccurate or the hard to use irons. It's just going to be a tricky kit. And here's a cool throwing knife kill. I gotta say, like, the throwing knives, as difficult as they can be to use at times, they just look so darn cool, and they just add that style flair to any sort of cool kill streak. And here we are finishing off a grand operations round. We've already gone through the first 2 days. The third day is on Eros, and it is front lines. They've actually pushed to our bombs, and we're defending at this point, but it was such a good game that we managed to actually hold our bomb sites and push back against them. But they got pretty close, and that's cool about the front lines now, is that it does have that sort of back and forth mechanic that didn't always happen in the first game, and so that's pretty cool. Unfortunately, there was a very aggressive Ju-88 bomber up, and he even had some fighter support, and he was just up the whole time just bombing the heck out of people, and it really kind of sucked. I don't think they should have those Ju-88s on frontline game modes where you spend so much time in one capture point on the center of the map and all they have to do is pepper it each time. So that was somewhat frustrating. And fighting in the city part of Eros here was the most challenging with the Kar98, because you got to get a headshot in close quarters for the most part. If you don't get that headshot, you better have some good cover to duck behind. And I ended up going 19-11 for a lot of the close quarter fighting. Usually when I try to throwing knife kill, you know, if you miss that first throwing knife, you're dead. So it was tricky using the Kar98 in close quarters. Even without the scope glint, you know, you're visible enough that people are usually going to take you out regardless. Now, if I were going to make some suggestions with this kit, I would say that messing around with the sniper rolls, picking the one that allows you to spawn on any spawn beacon around the map, could be a fun way to sort of try and get into weird, hard to reach locations, or just make sure you don't always have to run across the front lines into the same spot each time. Also, as cool as the Kar98 is, I really think the way it's designed for Battlefield 5 is for scope use. Regardless of what it was traditionally used as or most commonly seen on the battlefields of World War II, you're going to want a magnified scope with the Kar98 to take advantage of its ranged potential. If you want an iron sight sniper rifle and that's the kind of gameplay you enjoy, you're going to have to just recognize that your engagement distances are going to shrink down a little bit and you're not going to be as effective at those maximum ranges, so you may as well use something like the Enfield, the really fast firing sniper rifle that'll give you the best chances of getting a quick two-shot kill, because that's going to be a very common occurrence, is the two-shot kill. So you want a rifle that can do that faster than any other rifle, and the Kar98 is one of the lesser options for that. Funny enough, though, this was the first time I was actually using the Kar98 because I got my Recon to rank 20 just in time to record this episode of Loadout. We've still got the medic working on his rank 20, and it's going to take me a little while before I get the Thompson there. But I've been having a lot of fun unlocking and ranking up the classes. Hopefully this December 4th patch will give us enough company coin to start ranking up all the weapons and all the vehicles again, as there's a lot of cool unlocks that I want to try out and start messing around with. As always, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Loadout. Sniping has been a lot of fun in Battlefield 5. Don't forget to leave your comments down below letting me know what you would like me to run with for next week's episode. I'll see you guys next time. This is Level Cap signing off.